A lot of people call this overthinking. You make a decision, and instead of it being done, it sticks around. You replay the conversation, you rethink your options. You wonder if there's a better way to choose it, to say it, to time it. And if you're honest, you don't want to just understand why this feeling happens. You want it to stop, especially with the decisions that actually matter, the ones that affect other people, the ones that feel like they say something about you as a leader. For a long time, I thought overthinking meant that I needed more clarity. If I could only think longer, or pray harder, or wait until I felt more sure, then eventually the decision would settle. But guess what? It didn't. The thinking didn't calm things down. It just made the decision feel heavier. And once I started paying attention in my own life and in conversations I had with others, I started to realize something really important. Overthinking doesn't usually stop when you get more information. It stops when you change what you're asking for. That is what this video is about. Not to tell you to stop overthinking, but showing you where the loop actually starts and how to interrupt it so that decisions can finally move forward without feeling like they're carrying so much weight. Here's what I started noticing. The people who most often overthink their decisions are not careless or unprepared. They're thoughtful, they're responsible. They're the ones people rely on. And also, a lot of the time, they're leading something. A team, a family, a ministry, a project that affects real people, which quietly changes what a decision means. Because now choosing isn't just about you. It's about how your choice affects somebody else's workload, someone else's trust, someone else's sense of stability. So the decision picks up weight. And when a decision feels heavy, your brain tries to reduce that risk. It doesn't do this by acting. It does this by thinking longer, running the scenario again and again, replaying how it might land if something goes wrong. From the outside, that looks like overthinking. But on the inside, it feels like responsibility. And this is exactly why overthinking doesn't stop on its own, and why we have to interrupt it differently. Here's the shift that changed things for me. Overthinking doesn't start because you don't know what to do. It starts at the moment when a decision is tied to your identity. When choosing wrong starts to feel like it means you weren't careful enough, you weren't faithful enough, you weren't ready to lead. That is when the loop kicks in. Because now the decision isn't about outcomes. It's about who you are. So your brain starts to ask questions that sound wise, but really can't be answered. Questions like, what is the right decision? What's the safest decision? What decision guarantees that I won't regret this? And those questions assume that certainty is possible. Most of the time, it isn't. And as long as you are asking questions that require certainty, the overthinking won't stop. So if you want to stop overthinking, the goal isn't to think less. It's to change the question. This is where the loop actually breaks. Instead of asking questions like, what is the right decision? You can ask, what would a responsible, grounded leader do in this situation, even without certainty? If you remember just one thing from this video, let it be that, because that question does something powerful. It shifts the focus from outcomes to integrity, from predicting the future to choosing how you're going to show up, from trying to reduce risk to acting in alignment with your values. And when you make decisions from that place, something changes. The decision may still feel uncomfortable, but the looping stops because you are no longer asking your brain to guarantee safety. You're choosing clarity over control. Here's a simple way to practice when you notice that loop starting. First, name it. This is not discernment. This is overthinking. Then walk yourself through 3 questions. If you need a mental sticky note, this is it. First ask, what do I actually know right now? Not what I fear, not what I can't control, just what's real and present. And then ask, what choice aligns with the kind of leader I want to be? Not the perfect leader, but the honest leader, the faithful leader. And finally ask, what is one step I can commit to without deciding everything at once? Most decisions don't need a life verdict. They just need one faithful step. That alone can interrupt weeks of unhelpful mental replay. From a spiritual perspective, this also matters a lot to me. Because many of us were taught, maybe even unintentionally, that God has one exact right answer. And if we choose wrong, we're not only making a mistake, but we're missing something. And that belief turns discernment into pressure. And when faith adds pressure instead of stability, overthinking isn't a failure, it's a predictable response. But faithfulness never required that kind of certainty. What it's required is trust. Trust that God is present after a decision, not just before it. And trust that our identity isn't fragile. When you start making decisions from that place, faith stops intensifying the loop, and it actually starts to calm it instead. This is why this matters for leadership. Leaders don't burn out just from working hard. They burn out because every decision costs too much internally. But when decisions stop being identity tests, when they stop being spiritual exams, leadership actually gets lighter. Not easier, but lighter. You stop carrying decisions longer than necessary, and you start trusting yourself again. And that trust, that is what makes leadership sustainable. If this resonated with you, it's probably because this isn't just about making decisions. It's about how much pressure you carry as a leader. I offer one-on-one coaching for Christians who want clarity, confidence, and a way of leading that doesn't involve second guessing. If you want to learn more about what it looks like to work together, you can find details in the link below. I look forward to walking with you.